How's it going out there? It's November 25th. I'm Frank Curzio, host of the Wall Street Unplugged podcast, where I break down the headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. I don't know if I can tell you what's moving these markets. Dow 30,000. Break out the hats. S&P 500 all-time high. Russell 2000 is up 27% in 2 months, which we really played perfectly in our newsletters. The Russell almost always outperforms the overall market during economic recoveries. Kind of, I don't know if we'll describe this as an economic recovery, but we've seen the markets come back. Usually outperform large caps. Large caps, as of May, significantly were outperforming the Russell, right? Remember, most of the technology companies, momentum names, and they needed to make up that difference. And we really did a good job in our newsletters, adding lots of small caps, especially Curzio venture opportunities, the cyclical names and stuff like that. So the Russell 2000 up 27%, 27% index up 27% in 2 months, now at a record high as well. We have Janet Yellen, new Treasury Secretary. What does that mean for the markets? Bitcoin just keeps going higher and higher every single day, approaching a new record. Might have actually surpassed that as I'm doing this right now. And it's funny because you're looking at Bitcoin's surge, and gold has been selling off, a little over a month, maybe 2 months now, at least gold stocks. I mean, gold prices are only off probably about 5-7% off the high, not a big deal. But it's amazing to see the pullback here, which has some people nervous. Are we going to see more stimulus? I think we are. And then we have Thanksgiving tomorrow, which is my favorite holiday in the world, spending time with the family. But it also means Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I think it might even be Cyber Friday now, right? Everything's closed, it seems like. I don't know how many stores are going to encourage people to go there outside of a few states. But the holiday shopping period is here. And there's wide ranges when it comes to the outlook of how holiday sales are going to be this year. And we really need to discuss that. I'm going to break down all these topics with my buddy Daniel Creech in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce you to the person I'm about to interview. He's a first-time guest, someone I respect, since what he has overcome in life is absolutely incredible. Now helping everyday people better their lives. His name is Ed Latimore. Keep that name on your list if you never heard of him. Not familiar? Please, I'm going to beg you. I never beg you to do anything ever. Listen to this interview. He's incredible. He's about to share some amazing stories. He's a motivational speaker now. It's difficult to find anyone better as a motivational speaker. And I know that's saying a lot because a lot of you have listened to motivational speakers. Wait till you listen to this interview. I love this guy. Enough of the intro. Let's get to my interview with the one and only Ed Latimore. And let's get to that right now. Ed Latimore, thanks so much for joining us on Wall Street Unplugged.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm really, really excited to just have a chat. You sound hyped up, man. You sound energetic. I like that already.
I know. I love doing this podcast. I love talking to new people. I love learning stuff. So, and just doing the research on you, just an amazing story. I'm going to break it down here. I mean, you had an amazing life where you're raised in the projects in Pittsburgh by a single mom. You grew up poor, suffered physical abuse, observed tons of violence growing up, dealt with alcoholism, then became a boxer on the professional level, which seemed like a way to take out, some of that anger on people. But by all means, when I look at this, and if I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say it's 90% plus that growing up like this is setting you up to fail, to be in jail, to maybe be dead.
I talk about it all the time. That I think I'm a lucky case in many ways because, and you talked about the alcoholism already, but like I think all the time. I say you can't outrun the law of large numbers forever.
Mhm.
And I think that I outran it about as long as I could before like I was due for something bad to happen and I had some epiphanies and some things happen and I said, we gotta fix this and get it under control. But yeah,
How did you get to the point where you change? Because there's so many people that once you're down there, once you're in that hole, the difficulty in coming out, especially where you were. I mean, what was some of the things that motivated you? Was it like boxing? Because I think it was 23 when you started your box career. I want to really get into that too. But
oh
you know,
yeah.
how did you actually? What made you turn where you have all this anger and all this? You're pissed off at everything and all, and now it's like, hey, you're just so positive about everything. You're just able to turn everything around, and we'll get to accolades in a minute. But what was like the turning point there?
Well, I think Okay, so one of the things that I read recently, I heard someone say in reference to their own personal transformation, was that they looked at their life and they said, "My ego doesn't match my position in life." And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that like if there was a really basic, non-esoteric, non kind of woo-woo reason why I made changes in my life,
Mm,
uh that would be it. I had a certain image or ideal that I felt like I could be, and that I've always wanted to be. And I got to a point, 27 is when I really started making a lot of big changes, where I was like, wow, you're not anywhere close. And this stuff takes time. So are you going to be serious about it
mhm,
and get it under control? Or are you going to keep BSing and kind of hoping that things fall into place? And now it wasn't that simple. That's a big part of it. Another part of it is like when you have this standard for yourself, you experience the pain that is the gap between, and that pain is the gap between where you think you should be and where you are. That was a pretty big pain gap. Like, I mean, I will never forget, like, having to worry about at 27. At 27, I'm sleeping on a friend's. He actually had a room because his parents give my house. Let
mhm.
me rent a room at his house for $200 a month, and that's all I could really afford. I'm 27, and I'm like, what's going on here? But okay, it's one thing if I can only afford that because I've devoted so much time to boxing, and I did. But I'm also making sure I got enough money to go out and drink and party and chase
Mhm.
girls, and like it's not like I'm not chasing excellence. I'm leaning on what may or may not work out, because I'm a boxer and trying to develop this life that I think fighters, should have, or athletes or people in the spotlight. In other words, I kind of started bought to my own nonsense, my own hype. And I said, dude, you know what? I just had a moment of realization, and I said, there's a lot I want to achieve. There's a lot I want to experience, and right now, that's the thing. Realism is a great trait. You got to be real. Right now, I'm not on pace to hit any of those goals. Like I used to say, I'm going to turn 33 regardless. Am I going to turn 33 with more or less options? And when I started looking at it like that, I said, dude, you know what? We want to have a good life. And now, I mean, every day I'm grateful. Like I'm sitting here right now in my nice
Mhm,
apartment,
mhm,
uh, drinking coffee, but I know that this is the direct result of work. Like no one gave me
mm.
anything. I had to go, work, 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 control myself, get my worst aspects under control. Now I wonder if that ambition is perhaps genetic, but the things I did to realize it certainly are not. And that was just going, okay, this is not working. And I was able to say it wasn't working because I had a realistic perspective of life, what I could do, and more importantly, what I didn't want to be.
You look at life the way I look at life, like every minute counts, and it must be funny when you look at it from where you are now. Again, we're going to talk about the accolades and degree in physics and all the books that you've written and your website and helping people and motivational speaking. It is pretty incredible when you look at today's world, I would think, where people complain on their iPhones and social media with their new cars. And, I've traveled the world, man, and people don't have access to water in some places. And just to hear what people get pissed off about,
Yeah.
and then especially when you see what not everyone has it is great as it seems like the more you have, the more you complain in this world, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy these
And
days.
it's super weird. I'll never forget. It reminds me of this conversation that I have with people sometimes about when you travel to countries. We'll call them developing nations, uh, and you're set up to. They say haggling and negotiating is part of the culture. That never sat well with me because I'm like, man, I grew up poor. I wish somebody would come and haggle me for. I'm like, look, I just need, for example, when we were in Colombia, I needed a hat and it was hot. They were like, this hat costs $12. I'm like, I don't care if that's us or not. That's a great deal. And I don't have to waste time dealing. Like, I don't have to figure it out. And,
Mhm.
and you win, I win. Everyone goes home. And for me, I couldn't. I don't have it in me to complain about things because I guess I'm aware of how bad it Could be. If you don't waste my time, I part of like why I told that story
Mm,
about the negotiation. If you don't waste my time and you don't steal from me,
mm,
because stealing is like a waste of time, because that meant that if you get close enough to steal from me, um, that meant I invested time into you, and then you went and betrayed. Like, it was like dead time. I mean, I could have put it somewhere else. Pretty much, those are my pet peeves. And even still, you got charged to the game. I'm gonna die eventually, so I know I don't have infinite time, and I
mhm.
know that one day it's gonna end, it'll probably end with me not doing even close to everything I want to do, unless I like live to 150. It was looking up some crazy stuff, man. I'm not saying that's gonna happen to my generation, but I think the next generation, I think I'll live to over 100, but the next generation knows. But that's off topic. The main the main idea is that there's so little to complain about. Life is so good, man. And even when I didn't have anything, I had the same perspective, because when you start out so badly, and when you start out so low
Mhm.
and you move up at all, that's a really unique perspective, because I wasn't like rock bottom, like I wasn't born addicted to crack or something like that. That's really
Mhm.
bad. But it was low enough to where everything I see is above me, and almost everything I see is an improvement. And so for me to be hearing and complain, I'm like, but I know what it's like to not have food.
Mhm.
Okay. I know what it's like to not be able to get, something warm for the winter. Things like that. I know what it's like to lack fundamentally on all areas of your life. So, to complain about my phone, that's weird. To complain about how someone's opinion. Okay, right? Are they trying to beat me down? That was the thing I had to deal with. Not someone's rough opinion, whatever. I don't care what someone thinks. They're not trying to lay hands on me. But yeah, that's where that perspective comes from, I think, for me.
Now, when it comes to motivation and speaking, for me, someone like you is so much more credible, right? I mean, someone that's been down there and struggled and maybe had setbacks and to me, I think it's easy to listen to you to motivation than maybe a doctor saying, well, you have don't take any more alcohol. It's not good for you. You're a doctor and you grew up pretty cool and that life is awesome. So, but even with that said, when it comes to motivational speaking, in that background, I would think it's difficult to motivate people, right? I mean, it's just they're conditioned a certain way. If it's negative, they don't want to be motivated, or they have a lot of fear and don't want to do things. I mean, how does someone listen to this overcome that? Because I would say most people are in that category that then living life and everyday matters and just living it to the best and always being optimists, especially in today's world with social media where it seems like everyone hates everyone these days. But how do you really change a person like that's mind? I think it would be easier for you as someone who has come from, being down that low to where you are now.
It's funny, man. I think, and I have to be aware of this, but I think a person in my position who's gone through legitimate, I think legitimate anyhow. Mind shifts, perspectives. I've had it tested. You can look at my resume and see, at the very least, the outcome suggests that the process was one that you could learn something from. What I have to be aware of, I have to be aware of the curse of knowledge. I have to remember that I, for whatever reason, naturally leaned a certain way. Now, that doesn't mean that I naturally get it. It just, I was predisposed
Mhm.
to that. With that said, the cool thing about leaning into what you're good at, developing a system over and over, you start to learn what people typically are challenged with, because you face these challenges yourself. And you start to see, and you work through, you talk to enough people, and you see some commonalities. And the biggest commonality I see, did not have to worry about, is I had nothing really to lose. Uh, a lot of people have an investment in their position in life, and that's not just their financial position or their social position. It's all of that. They're very invested in where they are, because
Mhm.
that is the devil they know. and we don't like uncertainty, even if that uncertainty comes with a potential payout. Okay, so we will eat the risk of staying still, because that's all it is. I mean, it's risk versus the possibility of reward of changing, of making some moves. A lot of people will always choose to sit still. If you can get a person to look at their current life in contrast to what they think they're capable of, and get them to understand that there's absolutely no chance of getting there
Mhm.
if they don't start taking action, even if the actions can carry with them an inherent risk of failure. uh, if you can get them to see that, then the rest of the game is easy. I always say, certain people ain't they're never gonna need motivation. They get it, and a
Mhm.
lot of times there are people who never had security, because the security weakens you in the sense that you don't want to give it up, and the only way to get it to make progress is kind of by definition to give up what you're secure with. Even and your level of security doesn't matter for the fundamental idea. In other words, you know what I mean is like, if I'm only, I'll put that in air quotes, only making $50,000 a year, I have a bit of a cushion to take a risk to make 100,000.
Mhm.
But is that any different than making 25 and trying to pop up to 75 with the same difference? No, I mean, because no, fundamentally, because they're all risk. I could end up less, but I'll probably end up more. It's like rejection and talking to girls, for example. Yeah, I could probably end up being rejected or slapped or whatever. Uh, but one thing we know is that if I don't do anything, this will remain. You
Mhm.
know, it'll be the same. And if you get someone to internalize that idea from there, the everything else becomes really easy to build on, almost to the point where they don't need to talk to you anymore. And I find that motivation works that way. The people who are unmotivated, no matter where they're at in life, they are very comfortable there. And I've observed you can be comfortable anywhere. I got friends making barely minimum wage, and I got friends who are six figures, and they're all comfortable.
Mhm.
I have very few friends that I grew up with. I can think of one, and one who went from a low and made a great, like a
Mhm.
big change, like the way
Mhm.
I have in the same amount of time. But most people kind of find their level right around 23, 24,
Mhm.
and take whatever course life puts on them rather than making their own course.
Yeah, and what I noticed too is you're brutally honest, which I like. I mean, for me, I grew up in New York. I grew up, again, you had to be street smart, and I became book smart later on in life, kind of like you. But I didn't really take too many things serious. But you saw a lot of stuff. There's a lot of hustling, lots of fights and stuff like that. I wasn't even close to the environment you grew up in, but you had to fight what you wanted, right? It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. But when I look at growing up that way, I mean, how important is it, I guess, if I could ask you, is it when having those street smarts, I realize how important it is to have book smarts later on. How important is that? Because it seems like even with that perspective, you're brutally honest when you come across where you tell people things that I'm sure that aren't street smart are gonna be like, whoa, and take a step back where, hey, you know what, you gotta get punched in the face to understand what fear is. I like that, but sometimes, a lot of people might be taken back from that, right?
Yeah. So you got to understand kind of like what are street smarts? Street smarts, in my opinion, they're just the ability to read people.
Mhm.
Whichever environment you have to read people in, it doesn't really matter. But you can't learn to read people in school, is the point. You can't learn it from a book. You can get a little guidance, but the general skills to read, not just read, but then do something with that knowledge, interact with them, make them comfortable, elicit a response,
Mhm.
gain attention. So the street smarts, you can only learn that by experience. Okay, book smarts are things that you can learn by reading a book, or watching someone else, demonstrate, i.e., a YouTube video or listen to on a podcast.
Mhm.
The cool thing about both is that they have their domains, right? And if you're really good at street smarts, but you're dumb as a brick, you'll probably be able to go far in sales. And if you're really book smart, but like near autistic level of social ability, there's a computer out there somewhere that
Mhm.
needs to be programmed and built and networked, and then there's everything in between. The people who I feel have the most fulfilled lives are the ones who realize that it's going to take time and be uncomfortable to develop whichever one you're weak in. If you're weak in street smarts, you're going to have to go get messy with people. You're going to have to go make some mistakes, be awkward. And in many ways, that feels worse. I mean, that's one of our biggest fears. Like what?
Mhm.
Public humiliation, public speaking, all those things. The ability to exist and operate with other humans. And they will continue to be, for the foreseeable future, the most important thing in the world. I don't care how complex or advanced the computer system becomes, it is still programmed, run, and operated by humans. So you need to be able to interact and work with humans. With that said, if you're really smart and you get all your, well, not smart, if you're really book smart, you're really street smart, and you gain all of your confidence from your ability to interact with other people and to work the room, etc., you're going to be putting yourself in a very awkward and uncomfortable, humbling position when you decide to hone book smarts. But I think you give yourself more opportunities. I've always said that lack of social skills will cost you way more opportunities than lack of technical skills ever will. I 100% stand by that. However, you still need to know how to do things, and you learn how to do a thing that is technical and valuable, but you're also savvy. You can communicate. The world is yours, man. It's
Mhm.
kind of I am by no means a wealthy individual whatsoever. What I have is an incredible ability to never I will never run out of money ever again. It'll never happen. Not because I got a bunch in the bank right now, but because I have a few hard technical skills, and I've spent a lifetime leveraging and learning how to communicate and interact with humans. You can
Mhm.
put me in front of a room with people, you can put me in a room with people, you can put me one on one or with a group. I understand how to move and interact with humans in a way where they don't leave feeling uncomfortable and repulsed. And that's really important. The next level is that so they can take an action that you want them to take. So you move from not just having them go, ooh, that guy's icky, to go, oh, that guy's fascinating. There's a middle ground. And a
Mhm.
lot of people exist in that middle ground because it's comfortable. But if you can move to the other end of the spectrum where you are good with humans and you are good with your skills, the world opens up for you. But the challenges, you could study for a test and be ready, and that's where book smarts are kind of inferior to street smarts. That you can learn a book smart thing and never have it tested, in the sense that if you fail, there is a severe negative repercussion.
Mhm.
Not so much with street smarts. Mistakes with other people tend
Mhm.
to come swift and with a certain amount of power. That doesn't mean you're gonna get your block knocked off, but you might get yelled at. You might have somebody launch a personal campaign against you, a slanderous campaign. There's all kinds of things that can happen. And to navigate that world is messy. If you're not willing to get messy, then you're not gonna do too well. Books are neat. Go read books.
Mhm. Definitely makes sense. So now at 23, I mentioned earlier, right? Boxing. Professional heavyweight, 13 1-1, 7 knockouts. After the 6 professional fights, you were signed by Jay-Z's Rock Nation Sports, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty big, right? I mean, professional boxing. What did you learn from it, and what did it teach you about life?
Oh goodness. So the cool thing is that boxing, like I think every other sport, has its amateur component, and then you do your time in the amateurs, and then when you can really do nothing else within a reasonable amount of time,
Mhm.
you go pro. I followed that, fortunately, because of the way I approached my training and the way I just was approaching my life at that point. I think I made some good decisions for my boxing career. It certainly paid off down the line with a lot of opportunities that I ended up getting. The Jay-Z thing being one of those. But really, what I took away from boxing is the thing that has influenced my life the most, and that is a growth mindset. Prior to boxing, I was a fixed mindset kind of guy, and I didn't even know that. I just thought that I so my grades in high school for math and science, they were not impressive. In fact, I put up a post on my website about my grades in math, and I was horrible, man. I didn't realize how bad it was. I went and ordered a transcript because I haven't been in high school in almost 20 years. So, but I wanted to make that post to show I went back as an adult to get the physics degree, and what can happen in a span of time. You don't have to. You can get smarter. You can improve.
Yeah.
Uh, and what I realized when I thought about it, I didn't think that I had anything remotely resembling talent in math. So I said I'm going to give up, let that go, and let that fester for years. And when I came back and decided to study again, but this time it was going to be engineering, which eventually turned into physics,
Mhm.
I was going to have to confront math. There was no way around that. You can't do those disciplines without math any more than you can like be an English major without being able to write well. Like it's just not gonna happen. Okay.
Mhm.
The difference was between that point in high school and when I went back as an adult. I've re-enrolled at 28, and but I had watched myself go from this bumbling, non-coordinated or uncoordinated boxer to someone who is an amateur, got a national championship, and got recruited and all these things. And I said, okay, if I can do that with boxing, what can I do with for my mind? If I can do that for my body, what can I do for my mind? And I had complete confidence that if I could figure it out for boxing, I could figure it out for school. I could figure it out for learning and academics. And it I'm really grateful for that because that is how I because it's one thing to hear someone say, like you said, when you look at it, it's the resume, it's the facts. It's one thing to hear someone say, you can do it if you put your mind to it and you just keep up with the
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear it. It's a totally different thing when
Yeah.
I say it and that's possible, right? When I show
Mhm.
you how it's done,
Mhm.
and that is what I got from boxing. I mean, I got a bunch of other stuff, but that's probably the thing that stood out to me the most, or stands out to me the most when I think about it. One other thing is I really learned the power of being likable, because boxing asks you to do something that a lot of people aren't prepared to do. It asks you to be entertaining enough and likable enough to get people to give up their weekends,
Mhm.
um, and usually a sum of money is at least as a professional, and not a small, I mean, not a small sum really for the average person. I think, yeah, my tickets at the cheapest for fights or anything were anywhere from about $40 to $50 around for the cheapest, and get them to come, and you had to be able to do that well enough, otherwise you couldn't get on the card, because why would the promoter put somebody on that can't sell tickets?
Mhm.
Okay. Now the cool thing is, not the cool thing. I mean, it's the same thing now, like with the internet, and a lot of time. But with the internet now, people can buy tickets. But before, when I was fighting, uh, and this wasn't that long ago, that's how quickly things change. No one was doing streaming fights because the technology still wasn't where it is now,
Mhm.
where like anybody can just
Watch anything.
get
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So a lot of I fought my first few fights in West Virginia because it was just an easier commission. So I had to get people to do this and drive over an hour to come see me to fight. That's you don't do that if you're an unlikable person. it's
No,
just not
that's
it's not going it's not going to happen. So I learned quite a lot about being a fan, not yeah, fan favorite. I mean, people gotta want to come and support you.
Hmm.
And it can't just be, and it's a trade-off too. It's an opportunity cost trade-off, because do I focus on building relationships, or do I focus on training? And a lot of times you got to make a sacrifice of both.
Hmm.
That's
Makes sense.
why, if you dig into the sport, you don't see a lot of guys come from the club level to the TV level. It doesn't happen that often. Not because they aren't. Um, well, yeah, I mean, exactly. But if they were good, they would take the patient route.
Hmm.
Because good is not just skill, right? You got to be smart enough to kind of understand the business you're moving and maneuvering. And I know lots of guys who, if they had just put their ego aside and said, "I'm going to fight as an amateur for free with the kids," because the club, I mean, look, a lot of my shows, I was the oldest guy on it. Not all of them, but a sizable majority, because I started so late in life.
Hmm.
Uh, but that's how you build your skills, and that's how you you make sure that when the headgear comes off and the gloves drop in size, that you're ready to be in there and fight. But a lot of people, man, they not they don't want to do that work. They don't want to sacrifice. But those are the things I took from the sport, man. Growth mindset and being likable makes a huge difference in your life too.
Yeah, the marketable part too. People don't understand that. I'm in the financial newsletter industry. It's got to be entertaining. People got to enjoy it. You got to know what you're talking about and be good. But that's definitely something to be said about that. Where so many people try to do things, you have to be different. You have to stand out. And you definitely do that. So you still box at me. You look like you're in great shape. I mean, if you need a sparring partner, let
Um,
me know because I need to definitely get punched in the face a little bit. But I would
Oh
love
man,
that. That
you
would be
know what's
great, man.
funny? Here's how I feel. So random bit of news is, I was this one of the chief sparring partner, if not the chief sparring partner. I'm pretty sure I did the most rounds. Um, what Roy Jones Jr. is helping him get ready for the fight against Tyson this week.
Really? Oh, that's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah, you can check my IG out, man. I got a few pictures up there with me and him.
Uh,
One in particular after the fight, man, he hit me with a great hook and busted my nose wide open. Couldn't stop the bleeding for 2 days. And then I just took some time off. Well, I mean, it wasn't bleeding constantly for 2 days, but
hmm.
whenever it got hit, and so I had to take like a few days off and just let it heal. But in terms of, am I still fighting again? I'm in great shape and
Hmm.
more coordinated than I thought I'd be. I suffered a concussion, actually two concussions, and those take time to recover. But I haven't been in the ring for freaking 4 years.
Yeah.
But I still know how to fight and everything. But what I've decided is I'm 35 right now, and with my skill level and the damage I put on my body, or
Mhm.
rather lack thereof, I mean I can easily fight. No problem. I'll never fight heavyweight again though.
Mm.
I'm not big enough. I'm only 6'1", and right now I'm like 225 pounds, which is
Mhm.
like not really training. Like when I'm in camp, I spent most of my career under 220 because you're working out, and that's just not big enough to really compete.
Mhm.
Uh, Certainly, yeah, no, you just can't. I mean, the top guys, I knew I had a pretty good idea of where I was going to bottom out at, and that's just not, or rather, top out at is a better way to put it, because the average, I think someone worked the math out. The average height in the division is almost 6'5" at this point. That's the average height, but the
Yeah.
median is realistically like 6'6".
Mhm.
Uh, that they're all over 240 pounds,
Wow.
and those guys that like that's huge, because what that means is that, and I'm not this good. I can admit this to myself, but what that means is that every punch they don't have to be as good as I have to be. In other
Mhm.
words, right? What's the old quote? The bad guys have to keep getting lucky. The good guys only have to get lucky once.
Mhm.
If you look at that in terms of the underdog and the overdog, better, right? The the underdog has to continually get lucky to have like everything has to go right and then some luck. They ain't gotta be that good for that long.
Mhm.
You a guy who's six, Deontay Wilder's a great example of this.
Yeah.
Like at the highest level, he ain't gotta be that good. Like, and we didn't know. I mean, like people who knew boxing knew it, but like until they saw Tyson Fury fight him, who's bigger,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Then they were like, because until then, right, he's fighting a guy. He's fighting Ortiz is winning the fight, but Ortiz is only 6'3" though. Only
Hmm.
6'3". That's crazy. I gotta say that.
Only 6'3", yeah.
And then he gets that right hand in there, puts him to sleep. I think it was the seventh or eighth round. Nothing. So I'll never fight heavyweight again just because I know that I
Mhm.
can't do. I have toyed with on various levels of seriousness and after sparring with Roy and seeing kind of where I am and what I
Mhm.
need to do. If I fought again, I'd be a cruiser. I would just cut the weight down because it wouldn't be about money. Like the reason we didn't do it initially is it makes more sense financially, and I started as a heavyweight. I mean, it's not like I can't fight. It's just that there comes a level where it's like, what's the long term plan? Long term plan. Realistically, I'm not gonna be in there and then fight against a Fury or a Wilder or a Josh Wright, a Chisora or a Brian. I mean, I'm just thinking of these guys. All of them are just these monsters. Brazil, Martin. Uh,
Yeah.
I can't even think, but they're all just huge. Like how Robert Lane is. I don't think like all levels. We're talking. I think every guy I mentioned there, the shortest one is 6'5". Like
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, they're
so
all huge. I mean, I wanted to go back to the Roy Jones Jr. thing, which I think is fantastic because Roy Jones Jr. and Tyson, both of them I've seen in interviews. I mean, it's supposed to be kind of an exhibition. These guys seem like they're taking it I mean, they're posting
they
their
are.
trading videos,
I
right?
I know that Roy's taking it seriously, and
Mhm.
I got the impression that Roy is taking it seriously because Tyson's taking it. So,
Is
so even though it's an exhibition, I mean,
When is this
people.
fight? When is it, by the way? When is it coming up, right?
This Saturday,
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Pay per
and
view,
I
right?
know that because initially I had to go out there with them because it was going to be a 2 week bubble,
Mhm.
and I was going to be sparring the last week, and then I was going to come home, and I like my house too much. I didn't want to hang out in the hotel.
Yep.
But then I got the word that not only was it a 5 day bubble instead of a 2 week, they didn't need me to go, and that was the best news I ever gotten. I was, but yeah, it'll be this weekend. It'll be fun. I'll be watching it. So
Yeah,
I
that'd
mean,
be pretty cool, man. That's awesome.
I got I got, got something invested in it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left here, and I mean, I could talk to you for another 2 hours. I love talking to you, man. Just you can feel the energy. It's amazing, and hopefully that yeah, the audience feels that as well, because in today's day and age, it seems like there is a lot of anger out there. People are pissed off, and need more motivation. But you created a website. You have your website. You have ways that you teach people to create a successful website, make revenue from online sources. You wrote several ebooks, which is incredible. Talk a little bit about that, and because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this are going to be interested in it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I figured out my strength, and that's teaching. I believe I'm an incredible teacher, mainly because I'm patient and I know what it's like. Like I said, I'm aware of the curse of knowledge, and it's always in the back of my mind. And when you know how a student is typically going to develop, no matter what you teach them, then you're able to kind of prepare and understand what they know, don't know, explain whatever, right? So that's cool. And then, but I figured that out. And I also happen to be my secondary, strength or skill. I think I'm pretty good with words. At the very least, I'm at least good enough to make a living from them.
Mhm.
So those two things combined, really, it's a really interesting skill set, or skill stack, I should say, because it lets me take my information, and I care so much about making sure a person's able to learn from me, not just learn what I well not just follow what I do, but really understand, because that's how I got through so many things that were difficult for me, is that I took the time to understand. You do that, and you can teach everything, and when you teach, people pay to learn skills and ideas. Like my
Mhm.
my big course right now is I teach people how to write and grow on Twitter. I'm not teaching them how to make money or anything. I'm just teaching them how to write. And because I learned what worked best for writing, and that is what helped me grow on Twitter, and that's what helped my website grow. And so I try to teach that, and I'm passionate about it too, man. I like seeing how words come together, and I like seeing a person, you know, I guess, focus and polish your thinking, because that's what writing does. It focuses and polishes your thoughts. You get that together, it's all good. But that's what I do, and I've always wanted to be a writer. I always wanted to create with words, and the internet came along. More specifically, we'll call it like Internet 2 or 3.0, where you have the power of social media plus building a mailing list and your internet, and then it's so easy now to platform drop to set up products to sell. If you have any skill at all with writing, you should be able to at least make a side hustle out of the internet.
No, it makes sense. And you know what I love most about it, and wanted to hear it is, you see the confidence, but you also see the humbleness. Where a lot of people, when I interview, I've been doing this for 13 years, and I say, hey, if someone wants to learn more about you, then here's my Twitter, here's my website. This, and you didn't even mention any of that. So I would love for you to mention it, because I know people want to learn more about you. That your actual website, your Twitter. I love following you on Twitter as well. So if people want to know more about you, find out more about you, learn more about what you're doing here, how could they do that?
Oh, great. So I'm at Latimore everywhere. My website is at latimore.com. My Instagram is at Latimore. My Twitter is at Latimore. My Facebook is at Latimore. If you just go to Google and type Ed Latimore, whatever you're looking for, you'll find me on that platform. Because I've been very smart about that. Just grab my own name everywhere, and it's easier.
It is
The
easier.
how I use my book. I was going between Edward and Ed, and I said, Ed's going to be shorter and easier for people to say. And I didn't like being called Ed when I was younger, which is funny. I think it's my dad was called that, but now it's everywhere. It's Ed Latimore. That's the name.
That's great stuff. So listen, I really appreciate. I know how busy your schedule is, and plus, especially your schedule with Roy Jones Jr. That was really impressive. That's awesome. I've been watching that fight, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time, man. I think the audience is really going to love this, and I think it's going to. A lot of people are going to want to learn more from you. So I really appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Man, great stuff from Ed. Notice a lot of things that he said, right? I mean, the boxing thing was amazing, right? Roy Jones Jr. and stuff. I love it. I didn't even know that fight was this week. I know that both of them are training hard. I'm a big fan of Roy Jones Jr. I was there when he won his first fight, when he won the belt. I was in Vegas with my brother and sister when I was very young. And I was at a blackjack table, and one of the guys was like, watch this guy fight. I think he was underdog, like 10, 11 to 1. And yeah, they're like, this guy's going to kill him. And I think he won in the first round and second round. But one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters ever that's really not talked about that much. I mean, it got to the point where he would play full-court basketball the day before he fought because there was nobody to fight, and he just used to beat the crap out of everybody. And he's going to be fighting Tyson. It's going to be great. But a couple things real quick from Ed I need you to focus on. One is writing. If you learn how to write, you could be successful no matter what. You're going to use writing for almost every single thing that you do. I mean, if you're an athlete, eventually you could talk about it, you could write books about it, but learning how to write, I mean, that's something I never thought that was in the cards when I was in my 20s and pretty much almost into my early 30s. And now I love to write. The entertainment factor. Okay, you could want to start any business you want. You need the entertainment factor. You need to be exciting. If nobody wants to see you, you're not going to make money off of it. You're not going to be successful in your job. It's not just having a good product. It's more than that. It's being entertainment. It's having a product that people are going to tell their friends about. They're going to talk about. It's the reason why Peloton is where it is. Zoom. People talk about it. It's the greatest thing ever. It's important when people can identify with it and they can talk to people, right? I talk about motivation. Right? It's something that is kind of hard for a lot of people. Not for me, but a lot of people I know it is hard to motivate. I interview a lot of people. I always say you can't really teach motivation. I mean, I could teach you anything in terms of book smart, in terms of the stock market. Plan to have our course open up pretty soon, my little seminar thing. So my clinic, investment clinic, I'm going to try to do that in January, mid-January, late January. Very, very excited. So frankcurzioresearch.com, keep those emails coming in. But Ed also talks about you have to put in the work. Nothing's going to be given to you for free. Never give up. Always fight. Do things. Challenge yourself that you're scared to do. It's going to make you a better person. Just a really, really good interview, and definitely check out his stuff. Check out his site. But I'm glad he came on. It's not an easy guy to really get for an interview, and I'm glad we did. And he's a really great guy. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought, though. Of course, this is about you, not about me. I say it all the time about the Wall Street Unplugged, but you can let me know what you thought about that interview at frankcurzioresearch.com. Now, let's get to some topics. A little different format. Didn't have so much of an intro. Went right to the interview, and it is Thanksgiving tomorrow. So, let's start with markets at all-time highs. I mean, we also have solid economic data to drive that. So much going on, but let's bring in my buddy, senior analyst, Curzio Research, Daniel Krish, to discuss that. I mean, with the markets at records, cyclical trade, Daniel, definitely on with airlines, cruises, casinos, travel, definitely working. We also have oil working. I mean, what are your thoughts on this where people are saying, well, the lockdown is here, no stimulus. Why are we trading at highs?
Hey, what's up, Frank? Happy Wednesday. Happy early Thanksgiving. Yeah, what was interesting about the airlines is that was it Delta that came out today and they approved, the union approved to take lower wages and to avoid furloughs and more layoffs. So that's a positive thing. That's the market's working. You got to give and take. Oil's interesting. Yeah, I mean, everybody's just going to ignore the next couple months, I guess, until the vaccine comes out. And hopefully we do get back to normal. I would push back on that and think normal is not around the corner. But from the finance standpoint, yeah, it's off to the races. And by the way, are we getting Curzio 30,000 Dow hats or anything for the market?
I don't know. You know what I just ordered? Someone ordered them for me. It was funny. I didn't know they were going to do this. They actually just said, "Hey, this looks pretty cool." But the Curzio Research masks, which I know you probably don't want.
No, I'm not one of those. I'll wear a hat though.
But I'll get you, a 30,000.
Give me a mask. We'll frame it, and that way, as we get bigger and bigger,
get like a
we'll
40,000 hat. I mean, it's gonna be 40,000 next.
Absolutely.
Months anyway, right? Probably.
Yeah, I like that. We should do some just like Tesla with the flamethrower. We should do Curzio merchandise. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know. You know what's interesting with this trade though, Daniel, is we've interviewed numerous people about oil, and I was kind of like, I don't know about oil yet. I mean, it's going to take some time. Devon was $7 less than a month ago. It's 15. ExxonMobil, if you want to go large cap with a dividend, it was 31. Now it's 41. 1 month. That's 32% gain. Pioneer, again, staying on a large cap level, one of the best shale companies in the world, best properties. Pioneer was 77. It's 110. That's a 42% move in a month. Or you get a little more aggressive with Occidental Petroleum, which was a little over $8. It's almost 17 now, so 100%. I mean, these are major moves in these names, assuming that, hey, everything's going to be fine. And now you're seeing even the banks getting upgraded, right? These are cyclical. Like, everyone's really anticipating everything back to normal. I would say by mid-year 2021. I don't know if I'm on board with that, though, right?
Well, that was a good segue, because we got to talk about, so why are the markets going up? What's the driven behind? And the most friendly banker around in the past is Janet Yellen. Mm-hmm. And the news is that she's going to be the new Treasury Secretary for the Biden administration, which we got to talk about there, too, because I got some angry emails about the whole presidential thing. And it's still not over yet. So we're going to have some fun with that.
Yeah.
But Janet Yellen, former Fed chair, if she takes over for Steve Mnuchin, who's currently the Treasury Secretary, to view that any other way than pedal to the metal, free money everywhere, liquidity. I think that's a huge mistake to view that any other place, because she's going to be market friendly. Even Elizabeth Warren, who is very anti-big banks, anti-capitalist for most senses, tweeted out how couldn't have a better pick than Janet Yellen, because she stuck it to and held, I'm paraphrasing here, Wells Fargo accountable for, remember the whole cross-selling, and every once in a while they bring bankers in front of, well, now they do it through Zoom, but some committee will come in and rail against them and tell them how bad they are. But I had to laugh out loud about that, because you're getting a very far left person excited about Yellen for being tough on the banks. Frank, who's gone to jail or lost a major job other than low-level bankers in the last 10 years?
During the crisis,
exactly.
Yeah. And it was all there.
So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The other thing, let's get right on to, I got to cover some tracks here with the presidential thing, because I didn't get back to a couple of the emails. I apologize.
Talk about this.
I'll get better at that, or maybe not. But the headlines about the market rallying off of a peaceful transition of power is awesome. So Trump tweets out to the GSA about, hey, let's start the administration to transition. And I guess they're letting Biden people in now, which they weren't, which, by the way, anybody that was worried about that is silly. Because a lot of the argument was, hey, if Biden doesn't know what's going on around the world, we're going to be unsafe. Do you think that there's a chance in hell some world leader would attack Trump if his last days are at bay? No. Because if you're out the door, what are you going to do? You're going to fire everything at him and then walk out and leave it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And if you don't think Trump would do that, again, I just agree to disagree. So the whole transition of power thing was funny. There's more lawsuits being filed in Pennsylvania. I will say, the odds are totally against him, but I can't give up yet, because I'm on a limb. I called the landslide, and there's only like a couple people still with me, and one of them's Sidney Powell, and hell, she's not even part of the team anymore. Mm-hmm. So, but For entertainment, when you need a break with the family, go to Twitter, get your fill, look at the both fringe sides, and then go back to the dinner table and, wait till next year. So, but it'll be interesting to see all the lawsuits. Supposedly there's another one being filed today, but yeah, the odds are stacked against them, but it'll be entertaining. So
it will be entertaining. I mean, I think there is, consensus out there is, hey, Biden won. It is Trump. When is Trump going to concede? But, if there is a smoking gun.
Well, check his Twitter because he still concedes nothing.
Yeah, he still concedes nothing, which is great. But it is kind of amazing. But I want to go back to Janet Yellen, who I had no problem with. I think she's good. I think she's more concerned with unemployment than inflation, which means that she doesn't care if inflation rises, which she's going to keep interest rates low, right? So she's dovish. I think everybody agrees with that. She's going to push for more stimulus when things are bad, right? She's also, favorable for that. I don't know if that makes her any different from, the last couple, but I want to go back in history really quick because she's going to have a lot of influence in the shape of the new stimulus bill. And here's why these stimulus bills are extremely dangerous. And just to put it simply, it's because our politicians are greedy assholes. Okay, that's what it is. It's not just, hey, we need this, right? We all need the stimulus. What you think, what I think, right? And people out there with their business, we're looking at this going, struggling business. How come you can't pass this? It seems like you both agree. There's a reason why you can't pass this, and it has nothing to do with saving the economy. It has to do with putting all the garbage and the crap in there that's going to help them. Now, to go back to 2008 with TARP, right? October passed. It was $700 billion. I think they dialed it down to about $480 billion. But the $700 billion package, it was a bill of 451 pages. Again, the world was going to end. We need to do this right away, right? No, there's no thinking. I understand, right? The financial system, I get it, right? So this money supposed to save the financial system, including investing in banks, AIG, Fannie.
You better not name anything that's pork related
all this stuff. And here we go. Now, here's the fun thing that's thrown into this, okay? And this is just for a $700 billion bill. There's a $3 billion number now being thrown on the table.
Trillion.
For the stimulus, right? Now it's $3 billion. It was 1.5, 1.8, 2.2, 2.5. Now it keeps getting higher. Why not make it $4 trillion? What's the big deal? It's only another trillion. But when we look at that bill and the pork that was in there, $2 million in tax benefits was shoved into TARP to benefit the makers of wooden arrows for kids. $192 million in rebates for Puerto Rican rum. $148 million tax relief for U.S. wool fabric producers. $49 million tax. I love this one. Tax benefit for fishermen who were plaintiffs who sued over the 1989 Exxon Valdez spill. Here's $49 million for you guys. Hundreds of millions of tax breaks for renewable energy projects. Again, this wasn't the time for that. This wasn't the time. This was for TARP to save the world, right? A $48 million, this is great. Hollywood threw themselves in there. $48 million tax incentive each year for film and TV producers who produce their work in the United States. Okay, that's pretty cool. And the best part, $100 million in savings for racetrack owners, horse racing.
Yeah.
Who can depreciate their facilities for over 7 years. So, guys, if you really think that
that's just par of the course, though. That's normal. But that's what we need to get over. You got to quit being par for the course.
That's why this is so tough. So they're looking to bail out all the states, right? All these states that are closed, that are closing when you see statistics, everything out there, I cite them. You don't really need to close right now, right? Death rates and hospitalization rates are lower. Very, 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 very few kids die from COVID or under 18. I don't know why you're closing schools. But again, and they're going to bail out the states and throw all this crap in there. This is our politicians at work. I mean, I know a lot of you voted for Biden mostly because you hate Trump, because you look at Biden's track record in 40 years, he hasn't done nothing. I mean, there's nothing that you can name that he's done. I mean, that's why he got destroyed on the Democratic stage, right? I mean, he got destroyed on the Democratic stage during the debates, right? And you're looking at the playbook of a politician is this simple. And I need you guys to understand it because you have to separate this when it comes to why we should get a stimulus and why things should happen and why you just have to accept them and invest accordingly. Is because when you look at the playbook of a politician, Daniel, which I know you know this, is the first rule number one, scare the crap out of you. Country is terrible. Climate change is going to end the world. You're never going to be part of the rich elite. You're always going to be poor. You're going to die of COVID if you go outside, right? Not if you protest, but if you go outside for any other reason, you could die of COVID, right?
Yep. Can't
go to a place of worship either. Can't have Thanksgiving with more than 10 members of your family, but go outside and protest, that's fine, right? So they want to scare you. Then these politicians, their job is to tell you exactly how they're going to fix it. Here's how we're going to save you, right? Here's why we're fighting for you, right? That's why they want your vote. It's why you should vote for them. But as a politician, your job is to never solve any problem, right? You see that all across everything, on even both sides. Because if you solve the problem, the people don't need you anymore. And that's why you see places like Baltimore, Lansing, New Orleans, Oakland, Cleveland, Kansas City, Memphis, Detroit. I mean, have these areas gotten any better over the past 3 to 4 decades? I mean, they were promised to be fantastic for like so many years and so many decades by every politician. Doesn't matter if you're voting Democrat and it's been that way, you're going to vote Democrat again. Doesn't matter, right? It's just, people are struggling more than ever, and that's never going to change in these areas. But I think you have to realize that, and when you realize this, you got to be a much better investor. Politicians, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They only care about power. They care about themselves. If they cared, they would have passed the stimulus bill 2-3 months ago when people are really, really struggling. Some businesses are good. We see the market all-time highs. Some businesses are thriving. There's tons of businesses that are being forced to be closed. This isn't, hey, I came up with a business idea, it didn't work. Right?
Yeah.
This is, I built my whole entire life, 3 decades of this. I own a restaurant. I do decently for myself. Now I'm bankrupt and I can't do anything. And you're not helping these people. All you're doing is tell them, hey, there's a 99.5% survival rate from COVID, but you need to close your business right now. Right? It doesn't matter. Okay, but mass social distancing, I don't care. But you need to close your business. So when we're looking at the stimulus, guys, they want to add a whole bunch of crap to it. That's what they're fighting about behind the scenes. It's not about the actual stimulus, right? No, again, politicians don't give a shit about that. They're already wealthy. But we're talking 2 to 3 trillion, maybe closer to 3 trillion. It's easy to sneak hundreds of millions in there, right? 100 million here, 100 million there. Tax incentives for an industry you're going to significantly benefit from later on in life. And I didn't want to go on a rant here with politics, which
you failed miserably at that, but it was a good one.
But when I look at, listen, but when you look at the Republicans and how Sarah Palin, who maybe knew how to count to 25, and how they were like, well, don't teach her anything, just have her memorize everything, right? That's how bad it was. That's how, McCain, how bad they wanted to win. To the Democratic Party today, which, are you really proud if you're a Democrat? Because they defunded the police, right? Look at what's happening in New York City. Look what's happening all over with defunding the police. They supported Antifa. They didn't say anything bad about them, right? This is people that, have killed people, punch people in the face when they're not looking. They bully people, old people. They just go to people at dinners. They sit there, they drink, whatever. They're getting funded by so many billionaires. They're getting prisoners to get out of jail so they could vote, right? This is how they try. They're winning, right? So this is some of the things that they did here. I mean, so when you look at our politicians on both sides, guys, you have to realize they don't care about you. What we want to know is when that stimulus is going to come. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care if you want to email me or Daniel. Have fun, whatever. Everyone has their own opinions. For me, it's about making money. And when I see this and a stimulus, we are probably going to get closer to $3 trillion stimulus. And if we really have 9 months from now, say like 7-8 months from now, mid 2021, where this vaccine is actually getting distributed and people are taking it and we're seeing these numbers come down, I mean, we're going to look at a market that's probably going to rocket higher. And that's what's anticipated right now, right? I think, if you're looking at the driving forces.
And the odd thing is that, like you said, what's going to hurt Main Street in the current and longer term is going to be great for the markets in the short term. And I say short term, meaning, 6 months to maybe a year, because that's not going to stop all of a sudden. And low interest rates are great for corporations. They're great for markets, but they're terrible for Main Street unless you're available to get a loan. But like you said, when you're struggling to make ends meet in businesses, money's going to be harder to come by. Regulations are going to go higher through the banks. So it's a Gotham City investment plan, basically. But like you said, you gotta sit down in the arena, understand the arena you're in, what are the rules, and try to make investments from there. One investment that Janet Yellen is going to be impressive with is Bitcoin. So I have a couple quotes here. This is from Coinbase. This was from October 2015, and it was her personal. It's under this section of personal views on Bitcoin. Now, Frank, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this is October 2015, quote, she says, in views of Bitcoin, would you not interpret Bitcoin's popularity as having a relationship with the public's view of the Federal Reserve's conduct of monetary policy? Now, where do you come down on that?
How old is she?
I don't think you're allowed to ask that.
You're allowed to ask that. I don't know why people get offended with their age. Your age is your age. It's not a big deal. It's how young you feel. I hate when
it's different if you got to pick when you were born,
And the reason why is because cryptocurrencies, and I'm going to pull something up here, guys, and be sure, Curzio Research YouTube page. We did video interview just now. We pull up charts and stuff like that. You're looking at Bitcoin, 19,000. I mean, look at this surge. This is unbelievable. But when I look at Yellen and I look at it, it's the same thing with the hedge fund manager, same thing with Jamie Dimon, right? They criticize something they didn't understand. They don't understand that people want this system because they don't believe in it. They saw what there's no coincidence. Bitcoin came about in 2008, right? What happened?
Exactly.
All these banking, all these guys did a whole bunch of legal shit that nobody knew. Nobody knew any of this. Very few people figured it out, even though everybody today figured it out. They'll tell you, oh, we told you the market's going to crash. No, nobody knew how significant this was, how leveraged they were, 30, 40, 50 to 1. Just creating synthetic CDOs. I mean, nobody realized how crazy this market really is. And then you're looking at AIG is supposed to insure all this, and they had no clue. They're like, hey, it seems like free money to us. And the whole system is going to collapse. It's just a matter of time. But there's a reason why people love Bitcoin. And again, that limited supply, they're looking at it as a store of value. They're looking at something. You're seeing companies adopt it even more. It's a reason why Square, which is a position on our portfolio, we recommended really early on. We're up a ton on it. Just broke through new highs, PayPal, new highs. Companies associated with Bitcoin, Crypto Intelligence Newsletter, we have 2 stocks that are actually small cap stocks that are really engulfed in that trend, and both of them are doing fantastic. Everything Bitcoin related, this is for real. This isn't like 2017 where more people are involved. You're seeing a lot of hedge funds change their tune, saying, hey, we need to learn about this. You see more companies, was it MicroStrategy that's putting some of that cash balance into Bitcoin, and they did that pretty much, I want to say, 40% ago. Yeah, which is pretty cool. But again, you're seeing this more and more widely adopted. There is a limited supply, but to me, it is a function that people don't trust the system, and this is an easy way that you could transfer payments, no BS, on the blockchain, and it's just incredible. It's incredible to see this move. It's not surprising. We've been talking about this for a long time. Why you should own Bitcoin? Why you should own gold for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, all the time. It's nice to see this. Hopefully, it's a lot easier to buy Bitcoin now too, right? You go to Coinbase.
Yeah, you hit it on the head with PayPal. I mean, PayPal has 300+ million accounts. Mm-hmm. As those users and clients can have access to that, and it's gotten easier just in the last couple years. I mean, hell, you can go on, you can use a Bank of America credit card through Coinbase, I still believe, and buy it. So there's the easier that it gets, the easier that bridge is to cross from a new user who might be nervous or I don't understand this or just unsure, can put a little bit of money into it. And with a couple clicks on a iPhone or smartphone or, opening an account just like a brokerage account to buy some of this and see how it works, that's only going to be a huge, huge tailwind because it's still in the early ages. I don't know, price predictions kind of crack me up. But if I had to bet a year and a half from now, do you think Bitcoin's higher and lower?
You know what? A year and a half from now, I would think, 99% of people are going to say it's high. Remember, it moved up tremendously, and you're always going to see a consolidation.
And then it crashed. Hell, it was at 19, and then what? It went down to under 4?
Under 4 briefly.
Yeah.
And then we recommended it.
And now we're back at 19, yeah.
And I want to say something, too, which is interesting, because Ethereum, and this is our token is based on, it's like smart contracts, right, for Ethereum. But Ethereum at the beginning of the year, I'm showing this chart, guys, is the beginning of the year, it was under $150. Do you know where Ethereum is? You have any idea?
It's over 500.
I had no idea it was over 500.
Yeah.
I have it as a recommendation too. I knew it was like over like 425, 450, but I mean the recent move from basically 450 has come in the last week, and now it's trading at almost 600. Almost 600. I mean that's incredible. I think it was as high as, and I could look really quick. I want to say 1200, was it?
I don't know the all-time high.
Yeah, so
put me on the spot here.
It was like 1200 around there, 11 and change. But so I mean,
so that's good. Buy stocks, buy Bitcoin. Hell, we're going to be out of job soon. It's getting too easy.
It is getting too easy. I know, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just buy
all the subscribers. BS. I bought one of the losers we just sold. It's not too easy.
I know. But you know what? That's what people are looking at too. At least gold has a bid under it in a lot of these projects. I mean, you have to realize, guys, with gold, and this is important, Dan. I know you understand this, but gold is profitable at 1,200 for all the majors now, right? Their costs are all below 1,000, and you're looking at prices where 1,850. What was the highs recently? 19 and change. They're a little bit off the highs, but the stocks are down. Like some of them 10, 15 small caps. Juniors down 20%.
Gold's basically down 20 or 7%, but miners and other things are down 10% plus easily, yeah.
10%. And what's the gold price? How much is that down?
About 7% from roughly 2,000. I mean,
which
it was
like a consolidation. It was not a big deal. You have to really almost every single mine right now that's being developed and in production is profitable probably around 1600, right? And at 1800, the amount of money that the Newmonts, the Barracks are going to print, I mean, these things are screaming buys. Their margins are better than Microsoft. They're better than Amazon. I'm not kidding. Look, if I took the name out of it, you wouldn't believe that these are gold companies. They're making an absolute fortune. They position themselves perfectly. These prices are very high and they're probably going higher. But those dividends are going to be raised significantly. They're going to start buying back stock if they stay at these levels. I just think it's a good opportunity for both of these things, Dan, with Bitcoin and gold. And you're probably going to see a consolidation in Bitcoin as well. If you go on the internet, the whole entire world says it's going to, what was it? It was the idiot who made that projection by next year. What was the price? 300,000 or something?
It was odd. It's like 311. It was a bank.
Yes,
Banker said
yes,
that. Yeah.
So it's a guy
I
trying
hope
to get
he's
his name
right.
in the
What the
paper.
hell?
I hate that because that's for our CEO token. I want people to take this industry more seriously. And when I see that, I'm like, come on. And he's basically on technical levels, which we never even been close to this price. We're basically in new territory almost today. And then he's basically on fundamentals of what happened in the gold industry in 1970. I read the report. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you could say 50,000, 100,000, get your point of 300,000 by the end of next year. I don't see that. And we might see a consolidation period where, it pulls back 10, 15%. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You get a little bit of a shakeout. You're seeing that in gold right now. And but it's still very bullish on both of these.
You know what I think is
yeah.
one more tailwind for that?
What's that?
Turning it back to politics, not to take shots, but just to point out that, hey, if this administration comes in, if this is a tailwind, we can make a lot of money as investors. Andrew Yang is popular for the Democratic nominee because why? When he was running, he's a math guy, Frank. And he's talking about universal basic income, and he's a crypto guy.
Mhm.
And apparently, according to some sources, he is in the run for Secretary of Commerce, which is held by Wilbur Ross right now.
Mhm.
How old is Wilbur Ross since we kicked the age can
He's
open?
125.
All right, I thought so.
He's close to that.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. He can be as old as he wants.
He can be as old. I mean, it's great, good for him. But I mean, he's.
Oh,
you know what? Go ahead, keep talking. Go ahead, Wilbur Ross. I gotta find out his.
So
age.
anyway, Department of Commerce works with businesses, universities, communities, nations workers to promote job creation, et cetera, et cetera. So this guy is big on cryptocurrencies. He's promised to introduce nationwide legislation framework to bring crypto market clarity. He's defined the difference between tokens and security tokens. That's from more of like the SEC, it sounds like. Clear up tax status of each of the crypto assets, trading, selling, and owning, which ought to scare the shit out of you because just for owning something and being taxed is not going to be a good idea. But we'll get away from that. And avoid the heavy. Now, listen to this. You got the biggest team of government people coming in with the mindset of government, universal everything. Avoid the heavy hand of government to not stifle innovation. So, this guy is an exciting. He's a charismatic guy. He's interesting to listen. I mean, he's a smart guy. I've actually really enjoyed listening to some of the interviews with him. But the whole basic universal income, $1,000 a month to everybody. If he's in the running for this position, you're going to see gold and Bitcoin go through the roof with that, and they probably are going to try to use Bitcoin or some Fed coin or whatever to help the quote unquote underbanked. So I'll leave you with that, but let's pay attention to the underbanked going forward and see how they come in to save the day on that.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, when I'm looking at gold and Bitcoin right now, again, two areas that just have tons of tailwinds behind them. But one of the big things what we need is there's a new SEC chairman coming in, and we're hoping because Clayton, who's leaving, was pretty pro crypto. And it's important because the regulation front, we're getting our ass kicked overseas when it comes to cryptos. Okay, we need regulation, and I know when it comes to crypto enthusiasts, they want blockchain. They don't want any oversight. You need oversight. You need oversight. If you can't have your money disappear, you don't know what's going on. Okay, people need to have that security, just like you do at through your bank and there's insurance and your brokerage firm and stuff like that. So hopefully we get someone that's on board with that. It's going to be a big deal. We could see tons of ETFs come out, which have been rejected. The regulation in our industry for security tokens definitely getting relaxed. You're seeing more licenses being sold now through FINRA and SEC regulated, where you're going to see more alternative trading platforms, which is going to open the door for even more platforms, which is basically more E-Trades, Ameritrades, the Fidelity platforms, Schwab, all these platforms. And you're going to see more and more security tokens trades open the door. Hopefully we continue that. I think it will. And they have an open mind about it. But that's some of the things that I'm focusing on. But moving away from that, we have Thanksgiving tomorrow. So
yeah, let's have some fun.
All right.
I got some fun facts for Thanksgiving, Frank. I want to quiz you and see if you know any of these.
Here we go.
So did you? I'll give you an easy one. The Detroit Lions play basically every Thanksgiving, right?
Along with the Cowboys, yeah.
When was the first NFL Thanksgiving Day game?
Wow.
I would have not known this.
I
But you're a
would
football
say
guy, so if you
in
don't,
the early 80s?
no,
When?
way earlier. The first professional
Really?
Thanksgiving Day football game was played in 1920.
Are you kidding me?
No, not according to House Beautiful. Now this is a little older, but yeah, it began 1920. How about that?
How can it go 19? Was it actual? I mean, it wasn't the NFL, obviously, because it wasn't established.
Right, but it was the
It was just
day dedicated for football and Thanksgiving and all that. Yeah,
That's a great stat.
that was interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So
Jingle Bells, the jolly old tune that your children probably play on repeat come the next holiday coming up, supposedly was originally a Thanksgiving Day song. Didn't know that.
Look at that. You did a little homework on this.
I did. This one's the best one. And I called this today. I'm going to give you guys a number. Did you know Butterball has a talk line? And now, keeping up with the technology, they have a chat line. I think you can even, through that CIA spy thing we got over there in the corner, don't even say it. But if anybody's having problems, you can call the Butterball talk line. I did this morning. And you get an automated, just like calling anybody else. You get an automated, press X, press Y, whatever. And it's 1-800-288-8372. No shit. There's a Butterball talk line to help you with any issues you got cooking. I think that's amazing, personally. I really do. I think that's awesome.
What's more awesome, I got to stop you there. And the reason why I'm laughing is because Daniel's the type of guy that always thinks someone is listening, right? So when we have the... I have an Alexa here, and you guys know if you have Alexa or if you have Siri on your phone, sometimes they go off when they just go off and you have no idea, right? And he's like, "Shut the who's listening?"
Not like they don't have any idea.
Which is great, but yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving is here. Is fun.
Hey, last fun fact:
Good.
Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
Wanted, supposedly, this is from Business Insider. This is a couple years old too. Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be the official bird of the United States.
That would have presented a very tough front for us.
What's more intimidating, having the big bald-headed killer eagle coming at you, or a freaking turkey?
A turkey.
But hey, you can't have too much fun with him. It was back in the day. What the hell knows going on back there? So yeah.
Yeah, he was right on a couple of things.
But anyway, that was a lot of fun. We get real serious, but I don't know. We've been serious enough. What else are we talking about today?
You know what? It's the holiday season, right? I mean, everyone's assuming, well, online sales are going to go through the roof. It's going to be great. Listen, I have contacts at Amazon that are saying it's the worst quarter that they've seen in terms of retail. I don't know what everything closed. Are they going to be doorbusters? If not, are people going to just maybe order online and go pick them up? Right. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here where that could influence. A lot of this has been pushed forward. Not to mention, look, there's a lot. I understand when you're looking at the percentages of the size of companies. When you're looking at technology, the biggest companies control 23% of the S&P 500. They're probably going to go higher. They all have cloud services. I mean, I don't know if you saw Dell and Hewlett-Packard's earnings with their cloud services. Holy cow. Dell and Hewlett-Packard, just look at those earnings. Insane. All
and margins too.
Stay at home, cloud. But the majority of people are struggling. And that stimulus package was clearly felt in the numbers. Look at the economic data today, 33%, whatever, best quarter ever, but we had off the worst quarter ever, basically, because of COVID. And there's no stimulus package. And these people are worried.
Yeah.
And you talk about people, think of how many people own restaurants, that own gyms, that own businesses that are being forced to close again. They just, they were furloughing employees. Now look at Disney's laying off, airlines are laying off. You're looking at companies, GE's laying off. They're not furloughing anymore. They're laying off. There's no money coming in, and they need that stimulus. There's only about 5 or 6 legislative days left to actually pass this. So chances are it's not going to pass this year, but maybe a dialed down version will pass. Hopefully. Why wouldn't that pass? I have no freaking idea, which is sad. But I'm not sold on this holiday season being that great. Interested in seeing the Black Friday deals. Are all going to be available, I think, online. I looked at Best Buy and Walmart for that, but they were offering these deals 2 to 3 weeks ago. Some of the same deals. I know. I look at the sites. Some of the same deals, 2, 3. So I'm not sold that this holiday season is going to be as great as everybody says.
I'm uncomfortable enough to say that I think it's going to be positive for a couple reasons. One, I think everybody's expecting a stimulus package now, no matter what. I mean, they're still going to talk about the number, and time is of the essence, like you pointed out. But I do think that the most people the odds are, hey, we're going to get it at some point. So hopefully everybody, landlords, businesses, banks, everybody's going to try to work that out before the next package is passed. I worry about the pull through, but just human nature, Frank. When you tell somebody not to do something, I feel like you always want to do it more. Hey, don't go down here. Well, hell, then that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
So they're basically trying to cancel Thanksgiving in a lot of places. They're going to try to cancel. Well, now that I got my ticket to go home, yes, to see my family for Christmas, I guarantee they're going to put restrictions everywhere and screw me over on that. But I think people are going to be so excited to get locked up that they could spend a little bit. And the interesting thing that came across today was personal income in October declined and spending rose. Now, what does that mean? That means you dip into savings to maybe take advantage of some of those Black Friday deals or early Black Friday deals. But that'll be interesting to watch going forward. But it's just weird, when you tell people not to do something and people are nervous. How often have you heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, we had a big fight about money, and what we do, we went out and we bought furniture."
Yeah.
Well, that's human. I'm not judging. I'm just saying
It is human nature.
it's
Some
a
people
weird
can't do
thing
it,
in
they
my
make them all,
perspective
yeah.
to think, wow, I'm almost uncomfortable with going with that with the herd here. But yeah, that wouldn't shock me. So we'll have to have fun and see what that comes out like and who the winners are.
And speaking of fun with the Christmas list, I wanted to share this with you, which is my daughters. They put together. They just gave me that Christmas list. This is for my 12-year-old. And this here's just a few of the things that she wants. A few things.
How long is the list? Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna take me 5 minutes to read.
it's a scroll,
It's so
not a
great. I
list.
don't know if this is an indication that maybe I'm a bad dad and I spoil them a little bit, but I don't spoil them too much, I don't think. But so a monkey or a pig. This is my 12-year-old.
Yeah.
LED lights, stickers, an Apple Watch, an iPhone 12, and a PlayStation 5. Maybe I'll just wrap that all up in one box for
Yeah.
That's what they want. I remember the days when I just wanted like Chewbacca as the action figure. I mean, it's all I wanted. That and the Millennium Falcon. That was it. And I was playing with that for like 2-3 months. Now, a dirt bike, a fire flame glasses, the 4-pack. I didn't know it was a 1-pack. A pocket knife.
Oh,
Always
that's
interesting
safe.
with a 12-year-old about to hit a teenage years. So the anger, right? You want an angry teenager with a pocket knife. A hoodie, which again, it's expected, for kids, and she plays basketball. Mini fridge, skincare, perfume, burrito blanket, money. At least that's honest. Money. That's all. Just money. I want money. Don't earn
Can't
it.
blame her that. Yeah.
I want money.
Does it specify cash? None of these gift card stuff. I want a cash.
No, she has gift cards on here. She says Starbucks, Visa, Route 21, Target, and Story and Song. But guys, I'm making
a detailed
fun.
list. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a nice list. I mean, I used to have a big list. I think a lot of kids have a big list.
Oh,
But
yeah.
also pay attention to this, guys, because kids are sometimes the best investors because they don't have biases or look at anything crazy. Just like, hey, this is what I like. I like McDonald's. I like, this Shopkins or whatever. It just, and it could really lead to you. But I'm sure her list is familiar with everyone in her class, and all of them talk about these things. Of course, they all want an iPhone 12 and take pictures and TikTok and stuff like that. But that's interesting, but it gets even better, Dan, because I got to read the other list. And by the way, this is you're going to see how smart and how much trouble we're in with her because she is, she's brilliant, but man, she's a handful. She's a handful and she's awesome. But here, she wants Shopkins, she wants stickers, a bigger bike, a beam and grips. So she's very, very good in gymnastics. She's awesome.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't even know what that is.
Yep. So, and she's going 3 times a week with a very, very high end class and doing very well. She wants to meet Ariana Grande. That might be a little tough. She wants 1 million donuts. I've never met a kid that if I give her a donut, it's like someone gave me like $100,000. Like she's just like she's the biggest smile, and she's like, oh, her mouth is. It's like putting a steak in front of a dog and they're licking their lips the whole time. It makes her day. Like it's a good 4-hour period where she's gonna be good if we get her a donut. She actually put money. She has the iPhone 12 she wants already, and this was made to my wife. So she sent this to my wife, knowing that my wife's gonna read this, and she said to my wife, "I want to meet your boyfriend." That's my youngest daughter.
Frank and his wife are pretty funny to listen to when she stops by the office, I have to say.
So we joke because I work late. She's like, "Oh, how's your girlfriend doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, doing good." And then if she's like, I go home and she's not home, I'm like, "Hey, just tell your boyfriend hi," and we joke around and laugh and stuff like that. So yeah, my daughter just, both of my daughters are very sarcastic, like we are. And they come in and they see Daniel. They love Daniel because Daniel's like, this massive giant, And they're always like, Daniel can't fit through that door.
Yeah.
Daniel, whenever I go, like, he can't fit through that door. And they walk right past my office, right to his office. And, hey, Daniel. I know they're here sometimes. But it just goes to show you, you know, it's kind of funny. I'm not getting him everything on that list. Yeah, but it is funny and it is cool. I know everyone has these lists and everything, but let's see what happens with the holiday season. A lot of online sales expected. It's going to be pretty crazy. I get it. But at the end of the day, there's no stimulus out there. There are people struggling. There are people worrying about their money. You're seeing a pullback in a lot of different things. At least that's what I'm hearing in terms of businesses. Let's see what happens. We're anticipating everything perfect. 21 times forward earnings, markets at all-time highs. Everything, like, we're going to have a vaccine. COVID's gone in 9 months. We're definitely, the Republicans are going to win Georgia. We're not going to have a left agenda, which includes massively high taxes for individuals. It's going to be across the board, not just for rich folks. Trust me, guys, on that. When people are moving from California and moving out of New York, 6% tax rates, how are they going to generate that revenue? They're going to have to raise property taxes on everybody else to generate that revenue, unless they're going to put enough pork in this next stimulus bill to help out on that. I don't know. But I am a little worried when it comes to the holiday season. It will be interesting. And we're going to get those numbers in pretty early, I think, by next week to see where they're at. But I don't know. We'll see, Daniel. I don't know if there's any winners, losers. I mean, Best Buy reported great earnings, pullback. You saw the earnings, right?
Yep.
And this is something, last thing here I want to focus on before we go, is it really is a shame when you deem somebody, right? Someone deems which businesses are essential and which ones aren't. Because if you look at the results of Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Best Buy, if you look at the results of those companies and those retailers, holy cow. I mean, they're growing sales at 20%. They're growing earnings at 20, 30%. I mean, you basically shut off the rest of the world and say, you have to shop here. So what's going to happen when you start opening up? They're going to get used to be shopping at Walmart. And these guys know they have the algorithm in place. They're going to treat these new customers better than they've ever been treated and offer them discounts to the point where they're going to be customers forever now. And that's going to result in a lot of these businesses, even when everything does open at full capacity. It's just sad to see that, especially, which businesses are essential, which aren't, when, that's something that really, really bothered me. I know it bothers a lot of other people, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hate to pick winners and losers. The capitalist in me, that's no secret there, wants, you want a level playing field or just an opportunity, actually. I mean, you don't mind fighting an uphill battle to a certain extent, but, you have to have the opportunity. And yeah, everybody just needs to hunker down here and get back to work and support everybody. So, we'll see who wins, but yeah, it's an uphill battle for small businesses, but in theory it always has been, but this is icing on the cake. So we'll have to watch that carefully and invest accordingly.
Yeah. So guys, listen, be sure to check this out on the Curzio Research YouTube page. It's absolutely for free. Hit subscribe. You can like it. You can unlike it. You can tell us what we can do better, but we really have amazing technology. Our whole studio's up. We have all the videos of our guests. For me, I love watching podcasts for some reason. I think most people do, which is kind of weird when you think about it. It's better just listen if you listen to us on iTunes, but you're going to see a lot of the sites that we use, a lot of things that we bring up, which is really cool, to follow along. So definitely give it a look, guys. I mean, it's absolutely for free. That's a free service we're providing you. So, if you get a chance, take a look, and you can also follow us on Twitter at Frank Curzio. Dan, I want to thank you for coming on. Really appreciate all the insight.
Yeah, liking the new routine and stuff we're doing. So hopefully everybody writes in, takes vent to us, get your frustrations out, and then keep supporting us and buying our products.
I'm going to take some of those emails. We have to read some of the emails.
Yeah, we should next week.
Those people, yeah. That's good.
But hey, no, we really, I do. I want to say, hey, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. I hope everybody has a safe holiday. See your family. I don't care if you talk politics. If you hate your family, I'd talk politics even more. Maybe you can get out of next year's Thanksgiving if they let us have it. But I'm so thankful for the opportunity I have to be, helping everybody here at Curzio Research and doing something I love. So, it's amazing, and I'm thankful, and I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving.
No, that's well said. Yeah, guys, happy Thanksgiving. Listen, hopefully you're spending time with your families. I know there's limits to you hanging out with your families in some of these states, which is insane. Drink some alcohol, hang with the kids, eat a ton. You'll work it off. Don't worry about it. Make sure you watch football. Don't worry about your stocks or investments. It's kind of our responsibility. And this Thanksgiving into the weekend, just enjoy life. Enjoy. Be thankful. There's so much to be thankful for. I know there's so much anger out there with politics and crap like that, but definitely enjoy it. And listen, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for support. That's one thing I'm thankful of, that we have such a great audience. I know you're not always going to agree with Daniel and myself, which is cool. We want to challenge everybody out there. But we always have the best intentions of making you money, making your family money, making your lives better, and always being honest and true to that. And that's why I would never do this anyplace else, guys. I mean, I could never work for anyone else because I need to speak my mind. I need to be able to tell the truth. I don't want it to be a bias based on what company or what station I'm on and stuff like that. No, this is unfiltered. This is how we do it here. So you're going to agree, disagree, but remember, our intentions are always the same. We really want to help you. We care. And, it's definitely evident in our brand and how much traction we're getting now from you guys. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as always, I'll see you guys in 7 days. Take care.